Hey guys, and welcome to my LFR guide to Norushen. Now Norushen should be quite manageable on LFR difficulty. First, there is a mechanic called Corruption. You'll start off at 75. Whenever you clear this, you will gain a buff called Purified, which increases your damage done, healing done, and damage mitigation. Now this is cleared by going into a test phase, which is done automatically by the encounter and seemingly is at random. You're pretty much ported into it, and I'll talk more about those in specific later. Now for the main fight. You will fight a boss called the Amalgam of Corruption. Now he'll do a few different abilities. Tanks should swap on Self-Doubt, as it will increase the damage done by the damage taken by the boss's main nuke by 40%. He will also do Blind Hatred. This is basically an eye beam in the same sort of vein as Duramu the Forgotten, and it will do 60,000 DPS to anyone inside it, so pretty much just don't stand inside it. He will also constantly do raid damage via Icy Fear during the fight. This damage increases as his health decreases and is something that the healers have to deal with and heal up. There are also two kinds of adds. These spawn when their equivalent in the DPS test phase are killed. There's big adds and small ones. The big ones must be nuked because they do AoE raid damage, and once killed they will drop a void zone that does 30,000 damage per second to the whole raid. You can mitigate this by having a player stand inside the void zone and soak it. This will gain them 25 corruption. Now, ideally, you don't want to be like having players that are purified soaking the thing, but honestly, it doesn't matter in a giant sense. It's probably best to get like healers or tanks to deal with this. But yeah, it's still something you have to deal with, because if you get 3 or 4 of these, then the raid's, taking really heavy damage. It's just not nice in the healers. Finally, the small adds will use a spell that buffs the boss, so you need to kill them and stand in. Well, you can stand in between their buff spell and the boss. However, on LFR difficulty, it doesn't really matter. Now let's talk about the different test phases. There's one for each role, and completing it will zero your corruption. In the DPS test phase, you will face small adds with a reflect shield on one side of them, and a large one which does an AoE cone in front of them that does very heavy damage. Simply kill all of them, avoiding the cone, and you'll be fine. For healers, they have friendly NPCs and a hostile NPC. Heal up the friendly ones and dispel them when they take a dot, and do damage to the hostile one. Finally, tanks will have to survive against an ad. The ad will do an AoE cone on some unavoidable nukes. You must avoid the cone because it does very heavy damage. And finally, it will also do Hurl Corruption, which does 110k damage unless it's interrupted, so it's probably best if you interrupt it. Now, once he hits 50% health, he will summon a large ad at 50 and then every subsequent 10%. So you want to nuke all these ads down and have tanks or healers soak the void zones ideally. However, if there's no tanks or healers that are being bothered to soak them, then a DPS should also do that. You pretty much just need to do that and kill the boss. Now, there seems to be a little bit of a bug where the boss has been enraging a little bit too early. However, we found that even with the enrage, we were still able to down it, so probably you will have the same experience. Honestly, this isn't a massively hard fight, and I think you'll be fine as long as you stick by the advice in this guide, which will get you through it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this guide, hope it was useful, and I'll see you next time.